The meeting will begin shortly. Hopefully that all board members be able to attend the meeting. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us today, especially our shareholder Miss Amy and representing Bank Islam Miss Afrina. I am Eran Hafiza bin Azman as the CEO of Fraser and Neh Holding Berhad. I am delighted to welcome you here to our annual general meeting 2022. It's a great honor and at the same time a great responsibilities to lead FIN in my role as CEO. So here in this meeting we got our staff member. You may introduce yourself.
Hi, greetings. I am Nur Ilya Sofia binti Ahdi, the financial manager of the company.
Hi and good morning to everyone. I am Miss Ifa as the financial manager.
Hi to all the top management of FNN. My name is Siti Afrina binti Haidunizam and I am representative of Bank Islam in this company. Thank you for inviting me to join this meeting today.
Hi, I'm Amy as a shareholder of FNN. I'm glad to be here because I want to know the latest update of FNN performance.
Okay, the objective of our meeting today is to discuss our financial position and to apply for a loan in Bank Islam to invest in several FNN projects. Okay, before we start our meeting today, is everyone here?
Yes, Miss Era, everyone is here.
Thank you, Miss Ellie. Can we proceed? Are there any amendments?
No, there are no any amendments.
Can someone propose the minutes to be passed as a true record?
I propose the meeting to be passed as a true record.
By the way, if anyone has questions and comments, please ask after presentations. Thank you. Okay, let's proceed to the main objective of this meeting. Miss Ellie, you may start your explanation now.
Thank you to our honored and beloved one and only CEO Miss Era. So, without wasting time, I will proceed to discuss the comparative analysis of our company's financial position in 2020 with Nestle Berhad's financial position in 2020. First, I will talk about liquidity ratio. As we can see from the graph, the current ratio of Fraser and Nef Holdings Berhad shows that the firm's ability to pay is RM2.42 for RM1 for its short-term liability. Meanwhile, the current ratio of Nestle Malaysia Berhad is 59 cents. So, it is clear that the current ratio of Fraser and Nef Holdings Berhad is good compared to Nestle Malaysia Berhad. Next, the quick ratio. The quick ratio for Fraser and Nef Holdings Berhad is RM1.51. Meanwhile, the quick ratio for Nestle Malaysia Berhad is 27 cents. It means that Fraser and Nef Holdings Berhad is good to meet their short-term obligation and the firm is able to pay back its current liabilities without having to rely on liquid current assets compared to Nestle Malaysia Berhad. Last but not least, the net working capital gain by Fraser and Nef Holdings Berhad is RM1,020,002, while Nestle Malaysia Berhad is RM-736,947. It shows Fraser and Nef Holdings Berhad's net working capital position is good compared to Nestle Malaysia Berhad. It shows that the firm is relatively liquid and able to meet its short-term obligations as it comes due. Let me move to the activity ratio. As we can see from the graph, inventory turnover for Fraser and Nef Holdings is 4.2 times, while Nestle Malaysia Berhad is 5.77 times. We can see that the inventory turnover management by Fraser and Nef Holdings is better than Nestle because Fraser and Nef Holdings are good as with RM1 investment in inventory. They are able to produce RM4.20 of goods sold. It shows the firm's good and getting better at managing its inventory's turnover.
Next is a graph about average collection period. We can conclude from the graph that the average collection period in Fraser and Neff Holdings for the year is about 53.22 days, while in Nestle Malaysia Berhad average collection period is about 31.44 days. This shows Nestle Malaysia Berhad has more performance in managing its account receivable than Fraser and Neff Holdings because of their success in collecting payments within a short period. In fixed assets turnover, the Nestle Malaysia Berhad successfully managed to generate RM3.26 from RM1 investment in its fixed assets, while Fraser and Neff Holdings are less successful because they managed to generate RM2.93 for RM1 investment in its fixed assets. This shows Nestle Malaysia Berhad ratio relatively good that indicates underutilization of its fixed assets, but in Fraser and Neff Holdings, the ratio relatively becomes poor. Last is about net asset turnover. In net asset turnover, the Fraser and Neff Holdings managed to generate RM1.89 for RM1 investment in its overall assets. Meanwhile, the Nestle Malaysia Berhad only managed to generate RM1.30. Its fact that the Fraser and Neff Holdings have a low ratio indicates the low assets utilization or the firm's investment in assets is less productive. Then, we proceed with profitability ratio. So the first one is GPM or gross profit margin. The gross profit margin for Fraser and Neff Holdings is 30.85%, which has a lower ratio than the Nestle company's 36.32%. It shows that the FIN Holdings is not able to achieve GPM like Nestle. So, the sales for Nestle is 36 cents and better compared to FIN 31 cents for each ringgit of sales. Next is operating profit margin. Based on the graph, Nestle has a better ratio in operating profit margin, which is 13.39% compared to Fraser and Neff Holdings Berhad 13.11%. It shows that FIN company has a low productivity of assets in providing returns for both creditors and stockholders. Then, the net profit margin. Based on the table, the ratio for FIN is 10.28% and Nestle company had a slight reduction of 10.21%. For both companies, they are able to generate net earnings for shareholders of 10 cents for each ringgit of sales. Other than that, return on total assets. Based on the calculation, there are many percentage differences between Nestle company and Fraser and Neff Holdings Berhad. The return on total assets of FIN is 11.65%, while for Nestle is 31.3%. For RM1 investment in assets, Nestle is able to generate income of 21 cents and FIN is 12 cents. So FIN Holdings Berhad is poor in this ratio if compared to Nestle. Last, for profitability ratio is return on common equity. The return on common equity for Nestle company is good compared to Fraser and Neff Holdings Berhad. Nestle's ratio was 99.21%, while the FIN ratio is less at 15.24%. Nestle managed to generate 99 cents and FIN is 15 cents per 1 ringgit of equity provided by the shareholders. So, it shows that FIN is poor at generating profits from equity. Finally, we will move to the leverage ratio. So, let me start with the debt ratio for FIN is doing good compared to Nestle. 80.53% of Nestle's funds go to financing its investment and it comes from debt.
and the balance of it represents the owner's capital or equity. Meanwhile, for FNN, it is able to finance 23.57% of its investment. This means that the firm can control debt to finance investment and reach a past debt ratio, because a higher ratio indicates bigger financial risk. And that's the reason why Fraser and Neff Holdings Berhad is doing great in their debt ratio. So, FNN will be facing fewer financial risks. Other than that, the debt to equity ratio also shows a good outcome. Why did I say that? It is because Nestle indicates that 87 cents for 1 ringgit was provided by owners. Creditor's position is higher risk compared to the owner. For Fraser and Neff Holdings Berhad, it indicates that the creditors provided 4 cents for 1 ringgit provided by owners. The creditor's position is riskier compared to the owners, but better than Nestle. This shows that Fraser and Neff Holdings Berhad can control their relative fund, but Nestle failed to do so. Last but not least, the time interest earned for Fraser and Neff Holdings Berhad is doing good compared to Nestle. Fraser and Neff Holdings Berhad managed to generate as much as 107.64 times to meet the firm's ability to pay the interest payments without declining, resulting in financial annual interest costs. But Nestle is declining the ability to meet interest payments. It is only able to generate as much as 4.21 times. This shows that Nestle failed to meet the ability of meeting interest payments in 2020.
Thank you, Miss Ellie. Next, I will proceed to discuss the trend analysis of our company's financial position in 2019 and 2020. First, I will talk about liquidity ratio. As we can see from the graph, the current ratio in 2020 is greater than 2019. This demonstrates that our company is better at paying our short-term liabilities in 2020 compared to 2019, which is in 2020, current ratio is 2.42 times compared to 2019, which is 2.21 times. Next, the quick ratio for 2019 is 1.48 times, while the quick ratio for 2020 is 1.51 times. It means that in 2020, the firms have improved to meet their short-term obligation, and the firm is able to pay back its current liabilities without having to rely on illiquid current assets compared to 2019. Last but not least, in 2019, the net working capital gained by the firm is 960,684 ringgit, while in 2020 is 1,020,002 ringgit. That means in 2020, the net working capital position is good compared to 2019. It shows that the firm is relatively liquid and able to meet its short-term obligations as it comes due. Next, we go to the company's activity or efficiency ratio. From the data, we can conclude that inventory turnover of 2019 is 4.86, shows that our company is doing better than 2020, which is 4.20. This shows that in 2019, our company are more effective in its inventory management to generate sales. We move to the average collection period. The ratio of 2019 is 53 days, while in 2020 is 53.22 days. It shows in the year of 2019, our company took a short period to collect all the debts. After that, we look at our fixed asset turnover. In the year of 2020 is 2.93, while in the year of 2019 is 3.04. From that, we can see the year of 2019 record is higher than 2020. So, we can conclude that the year 2019 has better fixed assets because it shows our company used the fixed assets effectively. Last, on the activity ratio, we see the data of total assets turnover for our company. As we can see, in 2019, the company's total fixed assets turnover is 1.16. That shows our company is more effective than the year of 2020, because in 2020 the total is 1.13, and the lower number of asset turnover ratio indicates that the company can operate with fewer assets. After that, we move to the profitability ratio. From the data, gross profit margin in 2019 is higher than 2020. For 2019, the GPM is 31.07%, and for 2020, the GPM is 30.85%. So the company failed to achieve GPM like last year, and the sales for 2019 to 2020 are 0.31 ringgit for each ringgit of sales. Then the operating profit margin for 2019 is 13.07%. In 2020, it increased to 13.11%, and the sales for both years was RM 0.13 for each ringgit of sales. So it is clear that in 2020, the firm is able to control all costs except interest and taxes in operation. Next is the net profit margin. The NPM ratio for 2019 is 10.06%, while for 2020 is 20.28%. FIN242 is able to generate earnings for shareholders of 10 cents for each ringgit of sales. Other than that, return on total assets for this company. The ROA in 2020 is slightly declined compared to 2019, from 11.71% to 11.65%. But as you can see that in 2019 and 2020, it is able to generate net earnings of 12 cents for 1 ringgit investments in its assets. Lastly, the return on common equity of FIN242 company. For 2019, the company is managed to generate 16 cents per 1 ringgit of equity. But in 2020, it is decreased to 15 cents. So it shows that in 2020, the firm is not able to generate profits from equity compared to 2019. We move to the last ratio, which is leverage ratio. Under debt ratio for 2019 is 27.78%. For funds to finance, it comes from debt higher than debt 2020. However, for 2020 is 23.57% of funds to finance it come from debt, and balance from funds is represent the owner's capital or equity. This means that the firm is considered to be able to control debt to finance investment and reaching past debt ratio. Next is debt to equity ratio. For 2019, it indicates the creditors provided 7.09 ringgit for one was provided by owners. However, for 2020 is 4.09 ringgit. The creditor's position is higher risk compared to the owners, but better than 2019. This shows that this company can control their relative funds but failed in 2019. Lastly, time interest earned. For 2019 is 117.0046 times. The firm's ability to meet its payment without decline, resulting in financial annual interest costs. But in 2020, the firm's declined the ability for meeting the interest payments is 107.639 times, less than 2019. This shows that the firms failed the ability to meet the interest payments in 2020. So in my opinion, our company needs to obtain a loan in order to finance the company's financial projects.
I also suggest our company needs to obtain a loan.
Alright then, so both of you suggest that we should obtain a loan to finance this project. Am I right?
Yes, Miss Era.
Alright, I see the point. Okay, now let's move on to Miss Afrina. Miss Afrina, what can you say if FIN242 want to apply for a loan from Bank Islam?
Hi everyone, as you know, I am a representative of a Bank Islam. After I have a review every detail of this company financial statement that outcome in the year 2020 turned out better compared to 2019. From my observation, I can conclude that this company leverage is a good because this company can pay the loan easily because of the low debit in this company. In debit ratio in 2019, which is 27.78%, is quite worrying for us. But when I'm looking at the debit ratio in 2020, which is 23.5%, I think this company has an opportunity to apply for a loan from Bank Islam. And we switched to debit to equity ratio in 2019, which is 0.0709 times, made us stop for this company. But in 2020, 0.0409 times is very far in 2019, and this convinced me for this company to apply for a loan from Bank Islam. So I can suggest that your company can apply loan from Bank Islam. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Afrina, for the future information and advice that you are suggesting. Raises an interesting point. Well done. Next, Ms. Amy, what is your opinion based on the statement just now? Some projects are coming. Do you agree to join the project this time?
Thank you for the question and other explanation. Now I will give my opinion about the upcoming project. As we know, Permodalan Nasional Berhad Provident is one of the shareholder in Fraser and Nip. From the data profitability Fraser and Nip Holding Berhad in 2019 as well as 2020, I noticed based on the firm GPM ratio, the company failed to achieve GPM and the sales are constant. In addition, the firm is not able and poor to generate profit from equity based on the ROE ratio. So, I think your company need to do something to improve and advance the business. Therefore, your company can add capital to buy goods to obtain high return or profit. It seems that the outcome from your market value ratio in the year 2020 also turned out to be bad compared to 2019, and it makes us doubting to invest in your company for now. In the year 2020, your company showed nothing change or indifferent for earning per share, which is RM1.12. Your company is not competent enough to make any increment in the profit making. Next, if we look into the price earning ratio, the upcoming is poor because compared to 2019, your company is capable of 31.16 times, and for 2020 it's dropped to 28.66 times. This may lead us to indicate that your company's stock is insufficient and we will predict low future growth rates. Other than that, the dividend per share is also not doing that well. For this reason, your company has shared a profit of RM9 with us that does not need to be reinvested. But in 2020, it's only managed to share around RM8.10 with us. As a shareholder, we want an increment in our payment, yet your company did not manage to do that. Lastly, based on the data given, the dividend payout ratio shows that your company are capable of paying their dividend as much as 8.04 times. Meanwhile, in 2020, you are only competent to pay as much as 7.23 times. The number of dividend per share show a decrease from RM9 in the year 2019 to RM8.10 in the year 2020. At the end of the line, I want to apologize. I do not think that now is the great time to invest in your company. But in the future, we will try our best to be a part of your company as one of your investors.
I'm truly sorry to make you disappointed in return of shareholders. I and our staff member will try our best to give you a good return in future, and I really hope you can put your trust in us in the upcoming years.
It's okay, Miss Era. I will trust you and I hope there is an improvement in your company in the future.
Thank you, Miss Amy. After hearing all of your explanation, I decide to obtain a loan to finance these projects. I think that's all for today. Thank you, everyone, for your great cooperations. See you in the next meeting. Have a great day and stay safe. Meeting dismissed. You can leave now.
Thank you, Miss Era and everyone.
Thank you to Miss Era and for everyone who attending the meeting held today. Assalamualaikum.